Good morning, students. Once again, I am here with you with the next chapter. Your today's next chapter is The Midnight Visitor from the book The Footprints Without Feet. So, the third chapter is The Midnight Visitor. Before we start the lesson, I would like to tell you the story of the lesson in short. In this lesson, there are two secret agents. Secret agents, spy. Spy means one you can say in Hindi, jasus. So the two secret agents are Ozabal and Max. Both of them are behind a report that is very important, so much important that many people had risked their lives over that. And so are Ozabal and Max. They are behind the report. Both of them want to have the report with them. Now, one other person is Fowler in the chapter. Fowler is a writer and he writes about romantic stories. So, he had read somewhere about Ozabal that Ozabal is a secret agent and he wants to write about him. That is why that he had come to meet Ozabal. So, here the lesson starts. Ozabal did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler had ever read. It means Fowler had read anywhere about Ozabal, but when he came to see, he found that Ozabal was not looking like a secret agent. Following him down the musty corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Ozabal had a room, Fowler felt let down. Now, Fowler was following him in a room, in a corridor of a hotel where he lived. Who lived? Ozabal lived in a hotel and Fowler had come to meet him and he was following him. But while following him, he was thinking that it was useless that he had come to see him. It was a small room on the sixth and top floor and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. The person whom he had come to see, Ozabal. Ozabal was living on the sixth and top floor of a hotel and he lived in a very small room. You remember it, where did he live? Because you will need it in the last. So where did he live? He lived on the top floor, on the sixth floor of a small hotel. And when Fowler saw where he lived, he felt that it was not a perfect place for a secret agent like Ozabal. Ozabal was, for one thing, fat, very fat. Now, you can say, one feature of Ozabal was that he was very fat. And then there was his accent. First thing, two things are given about Ozabal. That one thing that he was very fat, and the secret agents are supposed not to be very fat because they need to be very quick. So the things that are given, that Ozabal was very fat, and the other thing was his accent. Accent means the way we speak, the tone. Though he spoke French and German passably, he had never altogether lost the American accent he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. It means 20 years ago he used to live in Boston, and when he came from Boston to Paris, because he came, so his accent also came with him. That is why he spoke French and Germany, but his accent was American. You are disappointed, Ozabal said wheezily over his shoulders. Wheezily means making a sound of breathing. अपनी सांस की आवाज लेते हुए उसके कंधे के ऊपर से he said, "You are disappointed." Who said? Ozabal said. To whom? Fowler. You were told that I was a secret agent, a spy dealing in espionage and danger. You wished to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic. You envisioned mysterious figures in the night and the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. Now, Ozabal is asking Fowler that you are disappointed to see me because you had come to see me because you knew that I am a secret agent and I deal in espionage and danger. And that is why, because you wanted to write about me, you had come to see me. And before coming here, you must have envisioned. Envision means you made a vision. You must have made a vision about me that I must be a person with cracks of pistols and drugs in the wine. And in the night, I must be busy with all these things, but I hope you are disappointed to see me. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark eyed beauties, gets only a prosaic telephone call making an appointment in his room. He said that I know why you are disappointed because you must have thought about me that I was a mysterious person, but when you have come here to see me, you spent your dull evening in a French hotel and with a sloppy fat man. It means I am very fat, I know. Instead of having messages, that further he says that because I am a secret agent, so must have been found by you having messages by dark eyed beauties. It means by beautiful ladies. But I am a person who gets appointment of any person in my room by only a simple telephone call. That is why you are bored. You have been bored. The fat man chuckled to himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. So all these things he is saying to his guest, and the same time he is opening the lock of his door. You are disillusioned, Isabel told him. Isabel further says that you are disillusioned to see me, but take cheer, my young friend. Presently, you will see a paper, a quite important paper, which several men and women have risked their lives come to me. Then he says that I know that you are disillusioned, you are frustrated, you are disappointed to see me, but now be happy because I have something to show you. And what is the thing that he wants to show him? He says that a very important paper. Oh, the paper is so important that several men and women have risked their lives for the paper, and that paper is coming to me. Someday soon, that paper may well affect the course of history. In that thought is drama, is there not? He further says that the paper is so important that someday this paper may change the history, and that important paper is coming to me, and you will see it. As he spoke, Ozabal closed the door behind him. Then he switched on the light because he had already opened the door, and he stood aside so that the guest may enter the room first. So he was talking as well as he was opening the door. He was talking as well as he stood aside to let the guest enter first. Now both of them are inside the room, and after coming inside Ozabal, because the guest has already come in. Now he himself also comes in and locks the door behind him, and then he switched on the lights. After entering, he switches the light on. And as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. For halfway across a room, a small automatic pistol in his hand, stood a man. Now Fowler was along with Ozabal, and he was feeling disappointed. But as the light came on, as soon as he switched on the light, what does they see? What do they see? Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. He was thrilled. Who? Fowler. He was thrilled to see that halfway across the room. Which room? In the Ozabal's room. A small automatic pistol in his hand stood a man. It means a man was standing halfway across the room having an automatic pistol in his hand. So on seeing him, Fowler as well as Ozabal got surprised, and this was the first thrilling scene of the day for Fowler. Ozabal blinked a few times. Ozabal also got surprised. Max, he wheezed. You gave me quite a start. I thought you were in Berlin. What are you doing there in my room? Now, Max was also surprised to see him, and he wheezed. He wheezed means he showed a little anger, and you gave me quite a start. He said, now you are starting. And because he called him by his name, Max, because he already knew him. He knew who the person was standing in the room with an automatic pistol in his hand. So he said, you gave me a start, that you have started this game now. I thought you were in Berlin. What are you doing here in my room? He said that you were not there in the country, in the city, but I thought you were in Berlin. But what are you doing here in my room? Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty, pointed countenance of a fox. There was about him, beside from the gun, nothing especially menacing. Now, who had entered the room? Max. Max was also a secret agent. Yes, Max had come in the room. How? The door was locked from outside, but he was found inside the room. It means either he had some pass key or he had entered some other way as the thieves do. So, though the person knows him, Ozabal knows him, and Fowler got surprised. But now this is the description of Max. He was also a secret agent. How does he look? He was slender. Slender means thin, a little less than tall. It means he was not very tall. Features that suggested slightly the crafty, pointed countenance of a fox. It means he was a thin man, he was not very tall, and his features looked like as he was a fox. There was about him, beside from the gun, nothing especially menacing. It means nothing was there that he was fearful. He should have been afraid because only he was having the gun in his hand. If he had not had the gun, then there was nothing that he should be feared of. The report, he murmured. Who murmured? The person who had come, Max. He murmured that the report. It means he wanted the report. Which report? That Ozabal had discussed to Fowler that a very important paper, the report was supposed to come to him. The report that is being brought to you tonight concerning some new missiles. Now what about the report is? The report is concerning some new missiles. I thought I would take it from you. It will be safer in my hands than in yours. What does he say? He says that I have come to take the report from you because I think that it will be safer in my hands than in yours. Was this true that the report would have been safer in his hand than his? No, it was not so. But because both of them are behind the report, that is why he had entered his room like thief and wanted to have the report. Ozabal moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. Now Ozabal is looking at Max and he does nothing. He moves to the armchair and sits there. I'm going to raise the devil with the management this time, and you can bet on, he said grimly. Grimly means showing teeth. He laughed. He laughed a little and started saying that this time I will see the management. Which management he is talking of? Let's see. This is the second time in a month that somebody got into my room through that nonsense of a balcony. He guessed. He showed that he was guessing that Max entered his room through the balcony, and he says that I will see the management of the hotel in which I am living. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. Now, where was the balcony? Fowler looked at the window. There was only one window in the room, and Fowler looked at the window. It was an ordinary window against which now the night was pressing blackly. It seemed to be an ordinary window. ऐसे लगा जैसे कि विंडो एक साधारण विंडो थी, and outside it night could be seen. It means dark could be seen because it was the night time. As you know, the name of the lesson is the midnight visitor. It means the time was nearly 12. So, what does Ozabal say? Ozabal say that this is the second time in a month that someone has entered my room through the nuisance of balcony. It means you must have entered my room through the balcony. And on listening to it, Fowler looks at the window which was in the room balcony. Max said with a rising inflection, no. a pass key. Balcony. Max said with a rising inflection. It means Max said that no, I did not come through the balcony. A pass key. He said that I had a pass key to your room. It means I had another key. It may be a thief key. It was a pass key and I used the pass key and I entered the room. I did not know about the balcony. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. Then he further says that if I had earlier known that there was a balcony in your room, it must have saved some of my time. But I had to have a pass key and with very great difficulties I came into your room. It is not my balcony, Ozabal said with extreme irritation. Now, Ozabal said that he showed that he was irritated and he further explained, it is not my balcony. It belongs to the next apartment. He glanced explanatory at Fowler. Now, he is speaking as if he is talking to Fowler, not to Max, and he explains that the balcony is not mine. The balcony belongs to the next apartment. It means it belongs to the next room because there are a number of rooms in a hotel in a row. So he says that this balcony is not mine. This balcony does not belong to my room. Actually, this balcony belongs to the next room. You say, he said, this room used to be a part of a large unit and the next room through that door there used to be the living room. He said that before I lived here, my room and the other rooms were a unit altogether and that is why a balcony was opened from that room to this room. It had the balcony which extends under my window now. And where is the balcony? The balcony is behind the window, under the window. You can get onto it from empty room 2 doors down and somebody did last month. Management promised to block it off, but they haven't. He further explains that the balcony is 2 rooms down. It means if you leave 2 rooms, the third room if you enter the third room, then and get outside from the window, there is a balcony. You can enter the room and through the balcony you can enter my room through my window. This is the explanation that Ozabal gives to Fowler, and Fowler is listening to him. Max as well is listening to his things. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffy not far from Ozabal, and waved the gun with a commanding gesture. Please sit down, said. We have a wait for half an hour, I think. Now, Glance also listened to about the balcony what Ozabal told. And now, he is still having a pistol in his hand and is still standing. So, still standing there, he waved to the guest. Who was the guest? To Fowler, to sit down. He commanded him to sit down and said that we have a wait of half an hour. I think that we will have to wait for half an hour. Why will they have to wait? Because they are waiting for the reports and the report is yet to come. It is not with Ozabal. 31 minutes, Ozabal said moodily. When Max said that we will have to wait for half an hour, then Ozabal became moody. He said, no, not half an hour. We are to wait for 31 minutes. The appointment was for 12:30. Because whose appointment? Because the report that was to reach, that will reach at 12:30 and the appointment of reaching this was 12:30. I wish I knew you learned about the report, Max. And then he says to Max, I think that I must have known that you know about the reports, and I also want to know how you knew it, that the report is coming to me. The little spy smiled evilly. Evilly means dushtata se, dhurtata se. The little spy. Who was the little spy? Max. Max smiled. And we wish we knew how your person got the report, but no harm has been done. I will get it back tonight. What is that? Who is at the door? Now, he says that it does not make any difference that your people got the report, because today definitely I will take it from you. As he is saying, there is a knocking at the door, and Max, saying this, says, who is at the door? Because there was a knocking at the door. So Max gets surprised. He says, who is at the door? Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. Fowler, who is the guest sitting at the chair, He just jumps at the sudden knocking at the door. Ozabal smiled because as if he knew who was there at the door. There will be the police, he said. Smiling, he said. When Max asked who is at the door, then Ozabal smiled and said that that will be the police. He said, I thought that such an important paper was as the one we are waiting for should have a little extra protection. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. Who is saying this? Ozabal. Ozabal says when there is a knocking at the door, then Fowler jumps and Max got surprised who was at the door. Then Ozabal tells that there must be the police. He further says that I told the police to check on me because a very important paper was supposed to come to me. That is why I wanted extra protection and I told the police to come and check that everything was all right. Max bit his lips nervously. Now Max becomes nervous, so he starts biting his lip. The knocking was repeated. Once again, there was a knock at the door. What will you do now, Max? Ozabal asked. Now, because Ozabal has come in his room through the pass key, he had done a wrong work and he wanted to have the report from him. So, he was a thief like. So, Ozabal asked, when the police has come, what will you do, Max? If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. The door is unlocked and they will not hesitate to shoot. He further tells that I have not locked the door is not locked, and if I do not answer their call, they will come anyway and they will not hesitate to shoot you. Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. Now he got afraid and he got very angry as well. Due to anger, his face looked like black and swiftly he moved towards the window. There was the only window, and what was there under the window? There was a balcony, as Ozabal had told that there was a balcony under the window. So Max wanted to use that window and balcony to save himself. So he became angry and swiftly he moved towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill, sent them away. He wanted, will wait. Warned, he will wait on the balcony, send them away, or I'll shoot and take my chance. Now he is not yet afraid, a little afraid, so he is trying to save himself. To save himself, he moves towards the window and he swings his one leg over the sill. Sill क्या होता है कि विंडो का जो लोअर पार्ट होता है उसको सिल बोलते हैं. So he swung his one leg over the sill and warned him to send the police back. Further, he says that if you do not send the police back, I will shoot and take my chance because I have the gun in my hand. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised, Mr. Ozabal, Mr. Ozabal. Now the knocking became louder. Loudly the door was knocked once again and there was a call as well, Mr. Ozabal. It means there was the police and they were knocking at the door time and again and they were calling Mr. Ozabal. They actually wanted to see if everything was right. And what was Max doing? Max was angry, but he wanted to save himself. So he had already swung his one leg over the sill of the window, keeping his body twisted so that the gun will cover the fat man and his guest. The man at the window grasped to the frame with his free hand to support himself. Then he swung his other leg and over the window sill, keeping his body twisted. He twisted his body so that the gun faces the fat man. Who was the fat man? Ozabal and his guest